Hey guys, my name is Maddie, or Books with Maddie, and today I'm going to be telling you my least favorite books of 2020. Okay, least favorite books of 2020, let's go. I know there's been some controversy about making these videos. People are like, oh, 2020 was a rough year, we shouldn't be shaming others. I don't care, is the thing. Is that we're allowed to have opinions, and that's the reason we make videos, that's the reason we write reviews, is to have opinions. If people can't take bad opinions, they shouldn't be putting their things out into the world to be judged. So I'm going for it. I'm telling you all of the opinions I have of the bad books. I actually don't think any of these books were published in 2020, so you have no excuses, okay? No excuses. I'm just gonna get right into it, honestly. One of them actually I read on an ebook, and another one I read on audio, so I actually don't have those with me, so I will just put a picture up when I'm talking about those. But with that said, I'm going to tell you my least favorite books of 2020. I'm gonna go in the order of like best to worst, so like the best worst book that I read and then the worst book that I read. So we're gonna start off kind of tame, and then we're gonna get into real harsh opinions, which I'm sure you already know what my least favorite book of 2020 is. I talk about it constantly. Let's go. Okay, so the one in 10th place or first place, I don't know, the one that's the least worst is The Blind Side by Michael Lewis, and I felt really bad putting this on my worst books list of 2020 because I can like understand how some people would like this. Okay, basically this follows the football player Michael Orr. There's a movie about this book, which you're probably more familiar with, and he basically grew up like super impoverished and homeless, and then he like kind of made his way into the world and became this really successful football player, which like I'm not critiquing his story at all. Like obviously that's a really incredible story and I'm not critiquing him as a person, but the writing of this book was just not good. The chapters in this book, first of all, are extremely long, and like every other one was like really lengthily, is that a word? I don't know. It was lengthily, I'm using it as a word, written about football and other football players and nothing about Michael Orr. So I couldn't understand what was going on because I don't know anything about football. I can't tell you what anybody does in football. I don't understand how it works. I don't understand the people in the positions. I don't understand. I don't have a desire to understand. I was reading this book to learn about Michael Orr, and I mean I learned about his life obviously, but the parts that were about his life were probably half of this book. It was just totally inaccessible to anybody who doesn't know the most about football. There were just references to things that I have never heard of before, and I just thought it was a really poor way to present a really amazing story because there was just, unless you knew a ton about football, you literally were just completely unable to understand like 50% of this book. And so I was just really upset about that because I thought that this was a really incredible story, and I wish it had either just focused on Michael Orr, or that's actually what I wish. I don't wish it had explained all the things because I didn't have an interest in it, and this seemed like it was supposed to be about Michael Orr. The synopsis on the back makes it sound like it's gonna be about Michael Orr. It's not like this book seemed like the intention was to be about football. So I just feel hurt and slightly betrayed by this book. Okay, next we will talk about the audiobook that I listened to, which was Inland by Tia Obrecht, I think is how you pronounce her name. I have very mixed feelings about this book because I understand the literary merit of it. Like, it was very well written, and I think partially why I didn't like it was because I was listening to an audiobook. I think it would be a lot easier to read than to listen to, but I could not understand what was happening in this book at all. I learned 50% of the way through the book that one of the characters, one of the narrators, one of the main two narrators, one of them was speaking to a camel in second person. You know you've taken a wrong turn somewhere when you learn 50% of the way through the book that a character is talking to a camel. You know that's not a good sign. I think that was just the breaking point for me. I think I was like, I no longer can put any energy into understanding what was going on. I totally saw the end coming. A lot of reviews and like, you know, in the synopsis, they were like, in a magical twist of events, like, the ending happens. And like, I totally saw it coming. I guessed it was gonna happen because you know what I did? I said, what is the most ridiculous thing that could possibly happen in this book? And I said, that's probably gonna happen, and then it happened. So like, I just feel like that's not a good sign for a book. I'm sorry I didn't enjoy it because it seems like it could be a good book. Like, I could understand why people enjoy it. I just really didn't. I found it really like just hard to understand. That's all I have to say. about that. Okay, next we'll talk about An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. So I'm not a huge John Green fan, to be honest. I am a huge Hank Green fan. I love Hank Green. I'm pretty sure, and you can't convince me otherwise, okay? So before you try, I am convinced that Hank Green is the smartest man who does exist and who will ever exist. And you can't convince me otherwise. So, anyway, I read this because I found it at a thrift store, and I was like, I'm gonna buy this. Here's why. Here's the honest reason why I bought this book. I like to say, when I see a group of white men abounding in the world, I like to call them An Abundance of Khakis, because I think that's really funny. I used to go to a college that was in a very suburban, it was a Catholic college, it was very whitewashed, and there would always be an abundance of khakis. And I thought that joke was literally hilarious, and that is why I bought this book, because of my abundance of khakis joke. And I think, honestly, I'm not ashamed of that decision. I think that's a great decision. You should definitely buy books off of the jokes you make about them. I just didn't connect with this book. I don't really have reasoning. I read this like 12 months ago. I really can't remember why I didn't like it. I just think it was pretty boring and like dragged on and was the exact same tropes as every single other John Green book. And I've only ever read one other one, but I already know how they're gonna go. So just kind of a flop for me. Okay, we'll talk about the ebook that I read. So this is called Where the Desert Meets the Sea. Werner Sohn, I think, is the name of the author. I don't remember a lot about this book. It was historical fiction. It was about the emergence of Israel's estate. I'm bad at describing this. I don't know how to describe this book. It was just very clearly biased towards one of the sides. It was like interesting. It was very historically heavy, so there wasn't a lot of like, the characters weren't very strong. I could see attempts at character development and they just like weren't very good. They were just kind of out of nowhere and random. There was no like development for the development. There was no like building. It was just like, oh, all of a sudden these two characters are in love. Like that was just like, it's just like really wasn't for me. It was like really too long. It was much longer than it needed to be. I just didn't really enjoy that one. Next, slightly controversial opinion perhaps, but Milk and Honey by Ruby Carr. Need I say more? I mean, I don't really like poetry, first of all. If I'm gonna read poetry, it's not gonna be this, even though it was this, because I read it. But you know what I mean? Like, this is not substantial. Do you know what I'm saying? And I really don't want to be rude because I know how much this book means to people, but you could find the equivalent to this content by just searching, like, sad quotes on Pinterest, and you would get the same energy, I feel like. The cool thing is the drawings in this book. Like, I can appreciate the artistry. That's pretty cool. But other than that, I feel like the merit of this book was pretty slim. There wasn't a ton of merit. And I'm sorry because, you know, I know this book is like really powerful to some people, but I disagree. Sorry. Okay, next I will talk about Slated by Terry Terry. Great name. Amazing name. Average book. Actually below average book. This is a book that you could put into the slot of books which is published between 2012 and 2016 YA dystopian, which is like every single other YA dystopian that you've ever read. That would be the slot I would categorize this book into. There even is a quote on the cover that says, "Who can you trust when everyone is a stranger?" Which, if that isn't the subtitle to every YA dystopian book ever, I don't know what is. My problems with this book are abounding, and I don't even remember all of them. It followed the exact same storyline as every other YA book ever. The premise itself is fairly unique. It's that the government wipes the memory of like criminals who are under the age of 16, which is that a big problem in this world? Apparently, that they made an entire system surrounding it. And like there's this really big rule that like you can't get slated, which is what it means when you get your memory wiped, unless you're under the age of like 16. Like, why would you not develop that for the rest of the population? You know what I mean? I just, that threw me off kind of. Like, are there really that many 16-year-old criminals in this society? I don't understand. There was, you know, the I'm not like other girls trope. I should have counted the number of times that this book said Kyla is different. It was just so boring. Literally nothing happened the entire time. Nothing happened. I saw everything coming. It wasn't that good. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry if you like this book. I have nothing. So, sorry. By the way, I filmed 3 days in a row and I've already filmed 2 videos today, so I apologize for being the way that I am right now, but this is what you get. So, the next one is Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. If you know anything about me, you would know that I wouldn't like this book. I read this because Morgan chose it for our book club, the Spellbound book club, and if she had not, I would never have read this book. This is everything that I dislike in a book. And it's, what, 600 pages? I read 600 pages of this, and I'm really proud of myself because I hated it. It was really bad. Honestly, I knew what I was getting into. I knew it would be bad, and I knew I wouldn't like it. It was better than I expected, okay? And that's not saying a lot because I had extraordinarily low expectations for this book. I went into it with the understanding that I would hate everything about it. And what savored it for me, that is not the word I'm looking for. What saved it for me was there was historical aspect to this. There was like, they talked about like the Civil War and some historical, they like went back in time into history, and that was like honestly not that bad. So overall, not good, but better than my extremely low standards expected. So in conclusion, what is this even about? You're asking, you want me to give you a synopsis? I'm Not Like Other Girls meets horny teen boy who is 14 and like 6'5", meets my current understanding of what supernatural is from watching like half of one episode, meets, I don't know why I'm circling around the book like this, meets emo, goth, poetry, middle school, nightmare. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. The last 2 are, oh my gosh, I forgot about one. I feel actually really bad. This one is so tiny, I missed it. I feel bad making this one this low on the list. This is definitely above some of the other ones. But this is The Stranger by Albert Camus. But I just didn't like this book, to be honest. I hated the main character. I see him justified everywhere. It's not as deep as you think it is. This guy is just a piece of crap. My professor who taught this book to me was a creep, and now I understand why he liked the main character so much. Okay, my last 2 books are, I just made a video about these, so these aren't really surprising. I'm not going to go into depth. I will link the video that I made about them in the card, which will be on one of the sides of the screen. So this is 2 Steps Forward by Graham Simpson and Anne Buist, and this basically follows 2 characters who go on this really big hike called the Camino, and one of them has a cart. That's his entire personality trait. The other one draws cartoons. And nothing else happens. The last one is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire. Literally the worst book I've ever read. Extremely toxic, romanticizes abuse. There's stalking, which is justified. Bad boy meets Good Girl in Cardigan meets After by Anna Todd meets Trash Can. Okay, so that's it. That was a roller coaster of emotions. By the way, I want to put out there that I'm not bashing anybody's opinions. If you like these books, like, good for you, honestly, like, you do you. I am perfectly fine. Go in the comments and bash my favorite books. I don't care. Everybody is obviously allowed to have their own opinion, so feel free to like whatever books you want. I'm not saying by any means that these books are bad to like or you shouldn't like them. I don't think any of these books besides Beautiful Disaster were particularly harmful, besides if you take The Stranger very literally. Yeah, so like whatever you want. I'm really tired right now, so pardon my behavior. But other than that, I really hope you liked this video. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. This was all like really not that serious. Obviously, if you read 113 books in a year, you're gonna meet some flops. No offense to any of the authors or the writers except Jamie Maguire. Leave some of your least favorite books that you read in 2020 in the comments below. Like I have been saying, I'm uploading every single day this week, or I'm at least trying to. So keep an eye out for that. That is very exciting. It will be very stressful for me, but hopefully some good content for you. Although after this video, that is very debatable. But other than that, I think that is it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day, I hope you have a great week, and I hope you have a great life, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye!